A little bit. Good.
See more in your head than mine.
Here we go. We're live.
And we're live.
Sure, we're live.
Yes, we're
okay,
live.
Hey, welcome to One Side of the Coin here at Heads or Tails Gaming. I'm Steveo the Gamer. With me always is this crazy woman.
Mack-Attack.
And tonight we have a very special guest.
Will.
And if you don't know this guy's iconic to the game of Genesis Battle of Champions. Championship. Well, you haven't won a full championship.
This is a great way to start.
I'm so
I
sorry.
won the seal.
You shouldn't have been in the field. But anyway, yes, this guy has devoted a lot of time and effort into Genesis Battle of Champions.
I built 3 out of the 4 top decks from this championship. How about that?
3 out of 4.
I
You
built
didn't build the
Yans.
best one.
I didn't build Stitz.
You didn't build Sins.
I built Rubens.
Still, who came up on top on this one? Yeah. No, it's an ongoing battle between Will. He's a really good friend of mine. For Genesis, battling back and forth all the time. So it's like out of the top 8 that were at last year's championship, the top 2, Ruben, who took second place, was trained by this guy, and I had taken on Sid and taught him the game and helped him with his time.
Only 1 year.
It's only 1 year.
We already have a comment from Jeff saying, "What's Will doing there? He's just everywhere."
Hi, Jeff.
No, that's what I was saying. If you don't know who this guy is, you haven't been playing Genesis long enough. So yeah, definitely got to watch out for sure, 100%. Awesome guy. Anyway, so tonight's topic, this is going to be very crazy and very concerning. An announcement was made earlier this week on Tuesday. Check out Genesis Battle of Champions YouTube channel. What was the name of the show?
Exploring the
library. We see this gorgeous guy's face on there as well. There was an announcement made by Mack-Attack Games in regards to the game in a certain card. But before we get into this, mad shout out. Actually, I better make this disclaimer. If I offend anybody tonight, or if I hurt anybody's feelings with anything that I say, I highly apologize because I'm livid, right? Very upset about this announcement, and I'm gonna probably get a little overheated. So I'll apologize ahead of time.
Yeah, I think also it's good to point out that we both love this game.
I love this game so much,
and we both know the potential that this game has.
Yeah.
And
so much potential.
You know, we're going through this period. We're calling this period a growing pains sort of period, and there's a lot of things.
It's very painful,
right? But in the end, we're having some discussions tonight. We're gonna go back and forth a little bit, but we love the game, and we approach this game with all of our love and all of our emotion and all of our excitement,
lot of emotion,
right? Because at the end of the day, we want the game to be the best game it can be, right?
It can be, yes, exactly.
Okay.
So I've been playing Genesis from square one when it first came out for Alpha. Will picked it up back. You started Beta? Beta, yeah. So I have a little bit more background with it than you, so to speak. But I mean, it's 2 of the longest players in the game, more or less, I think, that have devoted so much time and effort into making this game grow and progressing. So, as I said, again, I deeply apologize. I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings by any statements I made. It's just a lot of emotions. And it is my opinion, our opinion on this show for our discussion. And it has no reflect on anybody else's opinions or decisions on what they do. So, but yeah, shout out to Haunted Castle, all the game designers, Will, Alex. Well, Will's
I'm not.
Game designer. Yeah, Alex, JC, Lionel, and Carl, the card creators for the game. Hi to you guys. Thank you so much for giving this game to us that we love. Unfortunately, it's. I keep reverting back to that to the thing. So yeah, let's just jump right into it then, because it's. I'm itching to get some information and discussions about this. So this past Tuesday on Exploring the Library, the announcement was made that Epiphany, which is a card that has been causing a lot of problems for the game right now, presently has been restricted to 4 copies only in your timeline for organized play. Now, mind you, keep in mind, casual play, Doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want. Kitchen table. It's like any other TCG. You're playing at home with your friends or hanging out at your LGS. There's no organized event going on. You're playing. You can play as whatever you want for it. But as far as organized play, it has been restricted. 4 copies, and that's it. I hate this. I don't like it at all. I think this card should be banned, right? So, your opinion? Initial thought. You've been told that Epiphany's restricted.
You've been playing for a while too, right?
You've been playing, yes.
I don't play a lot of Epiphany, but I think with how much information I've been given with how powerful this card has become, I think it should. I feel like the restrictions right now are good, but I just think it should full on be put aside. Even if say other cards come out in the future and then it makes Epiphany not as bad as it is now, bring it back. But for now, ban it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then maybe bring it back later. Like I said, if there's other cards that prevent it from not being as bad.
Yeah.
All right, that can stop it.
I also think that the card should be banned. I've been one of the people who've been pushing for an Epiphany ban since the 2019 championship.
Yeah.
I was, from the get-go, when I saw what the card could do, and when I finally, because 2018 I got into the game, I really didn't start playing the game until about 2019, where I really started focusing on it. But yeah, it's a draw 3, right? It's a straight up draw. There's nothing else. It's 10 aura.
Let's so before we go further, Epiphany basically it's 4 Axon. It's an 8 card. Costs 10 aura to play it, and you get to draw 3 cards. That's it, basically.
Yeah.
And any draw power, I think, in this game, as we've saw throughout the years that Epiphany's been in print, it's way too powerful. Way too powerful.
It's very strong.
I
Very strong.
mean to say 4 chi.
What's
8
that?
chi.
It's an 8 chi.
Oh, you said 4 axon. Oh,
4 axon.
Oh, it's 4 axon.
Axon. It's for the Axon affiliation.
I thought you said the number 4. I was like, what's
So
that mean?
our first instance of it was the Rain OTK.
Rain OTK, yes,
right?
of the 2019 championship.
However, we didn't know. A lot of people forgot that Rain's Living Shadows causes a movement and can't be within an awareness, which came up at that championship.
Yes.
So that's not right. But Axon has teleport, and we have Stone Protectors. Okay, those are things that allow you to get in really fast. So, in a game where we start with all of our resources, and we have cards that allow us to get across the board in one turn, a card that enables you to draw a bunch of your deck into your hand allows you to have all of those resources accessible. Like you have all your resources, and now you have a reason to have all your resources, right?
Yes.
So in that instance of providing card advantage with all your resources available, it becomes a very powerful and broken
card. It's broken, 100%. Now I know
comments. Yeah, we need a minute for comments. We got to go back a bit. Okay.
We got lots of people here. Good.
Yeah. Okay. So Jeff's being funny here. He just said talking
Jeff
about
being
Will.
funny to ignore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
next.
Jeff.
Happiest person. Blah blah blah.
That's what I read when I hear Jeff. Blah, blah, blah.
Limiting is only a business decision at this point because they just reprinted it. If it wasn't for the reprint, it'd be banned.
We're gonna get into that.
Ben said, "I like the idea of having a tiny amount in a deck, about 4 or less. It should cost like 25 aura as a desperation play to try and draw into a combo, not be used as the main part of the deck. Make it rare and expensive." James said, "Raise the cost." Jason said, "Thoughts on making it a class less card."
So it sounds like a lot of people have similar ideas.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's go.
I think we're looking. Cost with what
so now we're
does,
looking at either errating the card itself, right, outside of banning rather than just restricting it. So I mean, if the card was errated, to say if it exerts you once you use it,
that's the big one.
Would be and I know we have discussed this between you and I before, that this could change it, right, without having to ban it. Right. So, I mean,
because if you exerted,
the question is, was this presented to Haunted Castle
as options,
as an option, rather than restricting it? So it's like, why can it not be errated? right?
Okay.
So outside of restricting it. So let's take a step back before we get into a few of these other things. So let's look at the pillar of the game. Okay. So, and I know I had mentioned this in a comment on the live stream on Tuesday about the flavor of the game. I think maybe the flavor was the wrong word to use in the comment. I think maybe pillar or structure or how the game actually runs would be more better way to more better. I always say that.
Yeah, that's
more
fine.
better. Yeah, a better way of explaining what I was trying to get across. So the structure of the game. So we were originally taught, and the ruling of the game is there is no limitation on any card within your time limit. Okay. So with Epiphany being an HE, you can only put so many in, right? So there is that already existing restriction on it. Okay, but when you can fit 12 of them in your timeline, it becomes an issue. But this changes the whole rule standing. So now we have a restricted list, right, that we have to keep an eye on, but it destroys the whole structure of the game.
Okay.
Right. When we were initially, the game is initially set, there's no limitation on your cards. Right. How does that make you feel?
So so that is built into when they're designing cards, that's supposed to be built in. So my initial question is, well, then how did we get to Epiphany? Because how is Epiphany? Which pillar are you specifically looking at? You want to talk about that? Do you have the specific pillar that you?
Well, the one where there's no restriction on
no
the
restrictions.
Amount of cards.
Okay,
yeah.
So
Hi, Billy.
So I think my initial spot to that is that because it was an HE, there was the belief that HE was so high
that
you couldn't do it.
You couldn't get that many in.
But we saw, and again, one of the comments that was made on Tuesday night, which I didn't get a chance to respond to because of timing, and also having multiple people on is sometimes it's hard to get a full conversation going.
Right.
But it was the idea that if the Reign OTK had won the 2019 championship, there would have been a response right then and there.
But because it didn't.
But because it didn't win, and it hasn't performed as well in competitive circuits and competitive spots, there's this idea that it could be okay. And the key is that it could be.
Could be.
The problem is all the decks that were running 8 Gs and 6 and 7 Gs. Right? So 6 and 7 Gs are usually bigger damage. But now you have a high portion of your deck, which means you have so many low Gs as well, that most of the time when you play the Epiphany, you're drawing the lower end and not the higher end.
Yeah, but it's been recently discovered, well, not much recently, but people not realizing that there are essential lower chi cards that can be used for OTKs that were just not played. So, but we've recently, I keep saying recently. I mean, it has been going on for quite some time because this battle's been going on for a while.
2 years. We've been
2 years.
Pushing for Epiphany.
Exactly. So it's it goes. I think it goes over to a lot, and I've talked to a lot of my players in my community about. Okay, so he wants the evidence. He wants the proof that this is broken or whatnot. We've presented to him verbally. But it's not there physically because it didn't show up at this past year's championship. And the question is why, right? Okay, so why? But we have this information. We have the proof, right? But because it wasn't used in an organized play setting, he's not going to take that into consideration. Why?
He's not looking at it because it wasn't used at the championship?
At the championship, yes, because nobody was playing it. The top 8 decks were not heavily using Epiphany.
Because we're nice people.
No, just because.
And that's the thing. So you had made that comment. Yeah, you had made that comment on Tuesday night stating it's like we don't want to play that style of Genesis. Now he wrote in his posting today about making the game toxic. Okay, so we presented it to him. We've told him straight out, we don't want to play this.
And we're choosing not to play it.
We're choosing not to play it because it's too toxic. It made the game unenjoyable. It made the game like sour kind of thing for me anyways. And talking to a lot of my community members, they're saying the same thing, right? So it's a choice that we're not playing it. However, one thing that I had stated, come next year's championship, especially when you have the communities growing, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? I mean, we had a smaller community, a smaller player base at last year's championship, and even smaller the year before when they tried to use the Epiphany. But those who had stayed with it, they don't even play anymore because it didn't really work for them then. However, as the game's progressing and we're discovering more and more on the cards and the uses and the combos and everything like that, and we presented this issue over the past 2 years about it, and it didn't occur. Why? Because we don't want the game to be that way. Right. So it's
so we don't want it to be that way. We're choosing not to play it.
We're choosing not to play it.
All it takes is for someone to decide the opposite.
Exactly.
And then
which it would be I think at the next championship. So going into 2022's championship coming up this year. So 100%, if I can find a way to keep Epiphany broken as it is, even at 4 cards, which we've already started working on, it's going to show up. These OTK decks are going to show up, right? But aside from Epiphany, there is one other issue that makes it even worse, and that's the branding. So, which we're going to get into in a moment once we finish up.
After this break,
after this, gonna take a break. I gotta go calm down for a minute.
So Epiphany is restricted. Okay, so there's 4 copies in the deck.
4 copies.
Okay. Do we now just start with 4 copies and just sort of build and play every deck with that?
You have to now. So more or less. So if the timeline is going to want to be based on Epiphany, which now you're looking at the majority of the champions that don't have Axon are going to be ignored again, right? So now it's all about Axon. You start with the 4 Epiphanies and you build from there. So you look how to make them more powerful. Now with Axon, you not only have dedicated studies, you've got careful consideration, which is on the rise. A lot of people are using that just to cycle through your deck. You're still going to be able to get those 4 Epiphanies. And in these timelines with the OTK, that's all you need. That's technically all you need to make it still broken.
So careful considerations, just so everyone's aware, it's a 5 aura, 7 chi card, and it basically lets you look at 3 cards off the top of your deck, put 1 in your hand, 1 back on top of the deck, and 1 in the memories. So you don't need to necessarily find all your pieces. You just have to find from those 3 either another careful considerations or another Epiphany.
Or a dedicated.
Or something.
Or one of the other pieces like the teleportation or whatever.
So like you look at 3. Normally what happens is, you reveal 3. Oh, look, there's an Epiphany. Put that in my hand. I need this piece. Put that back on top. I play my Epiphany. I draw 3 cards. And it just continues.
Another
Foresight
one.
Of the Ancients.
Foresight of the Ancients, as I was just about to mention that. Now, this card has not seen a lot of play recently. However, I think with this restriction, I think this will be the next restricted card because of how good this card is going to be to get you your Epiphanies that you need to get your OTK. So what Foresight of the Ancients does, it does exert you. I forget the other cost on it.
I think it's 14
or something like that. And exert. It does exert you.
Don't quote me on that.
I know. We should know this. But again, for Axon, it allows you to draw as many cards as there are abilities on the stack. This thing is stupid good for this to cycle through your timeline and get this OTK.
So again, the play pattern there is you've already teleported in. You start playing your wind slashes or whatever, and then they have a response. Right? You play another one. They have another response. Okay. Well, now I'm going to be 1 or 2 wind slashes short. Okay. Well, I Foresight of the Ancients, draw 5 more cards. Hey, look, there's 2 more wind slashes. That's all you need.
Right? So it's going to be so powerful. Take a look at Foresights of the Ancients. I sat back and I thought to myself, why isn't this card being played more? Right?
It's the exert cost, right? Which again, going back to our original statement, if exert was on Epiphany, it wouldn't be played as much.
It wouldn't be played as much, right? But even still, if you look at Foresight, though, because you're drawing the cards, most of the stuff that you need for that OTK is what?
Swift
speed. so it can still be played on top. Right after you resolve it, you can be exerted and still kill them in that turn.
And Foresight's just is a 6G.
Yeah, is no 7.
Oh, it is 7.
It's a 7, so it's one less than
One
Epiphany,
less.
right? So it's going to allow you to have beefier.
So there's
damage
probably
cards.
some mixture of carefuls, Foresights, right? Because you really want one. Because you're going to OTK, right? So you want one Foresights for that situation where you need to.
That's all you really need. But
Right.
for sake of draw, you're probably
We're probably
going to
gonna
put
have
a couple more.
But
But it's still allowing you to have that extra chi because of the difference between Epiphany and Foresight to put in, like, say, a 6 instead of a 5 or a 5 instead of a 4, right? So it's, that does more damage. But counters to this, right? And we've worked on counters. Right now, I know talking to Yan earlier, one of our community members, he's also a judge. He said he had built a timeline that defeated your OTK recently, and it's based off of cards coming up.
of Origins. Yeah.
Is it from Origins?
Origins cards, yep.
Kind of thing. So, all right. So, would these cards or these timelines coming up in Origins actually stop Epiphany? Or these OTKs?
So it will stop OTKs.
I didn't see that match, and I didn't get full detail on how it played out.
So basically,
it's hard for me to determine.
So for those of you who are in Future League, or if you want to be part of Future League, you can. It's still an open thing. Who knows how long that will be? But basically, Future League, we have been playing with the Origin cards. We're practicing, right? We're throwing everything to the same card pool, and there are, looking at it, a number of cards. And this week I've been starting to pull apart, the cards that have, and I would say there's probably about, in each color, there's at least 2 to 3 answers to this style of gameplay.
Right.
In each color. Right. So that could be a way of moving away from it. It could be a way of defending it completely. Maybe it can do a holy wall type effect. You can't take damage for this round. Or it's a way of stopping the person from moving. Or it's a way of, stopping the person from doing damage, or you take less damage for each attack. So all these types of effects are within the game. Okay. Now, whether or not there is anti-draw effects is to be seen, because there's still stuff that,
But I think that's the key thing, because even if they do stop you for the one round, in which we've proven in just our present card pool, right? They stop you for the one round. Doesn't matter. There's another round. Yeah, all you do is you just go to the next round and you're doing it again.
Yes, you can build a deck to counter the OTK.
Yeah,
but that deck cannot counter the rest of the decks.
Yes.
Right? So it does very good at doing, basically stopping the OTK from winning, but it doesn't win itself.
Doesn't win itself, right?
Right? It's like, so, I'm not going to lose, is basically the mentality, because you're trying to do something broken and win. I'm going to stop you from doing that.
Therefore, but you're going to lose anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, we did another round, and I just used a straight up Angels deck.
Yeah.
And they couldn't handle the Angels.
Right.
Right. So.
Okay.
So yeah.
There
will be some mixture. I think all the tools will be there. I think Origins is going to. I still believe that Origins is going to make a huge splash and shift and change.
Okay.
But I also was hoping, from my personal view, I was also hoping that Epiphany wasn't going to be part of the Origins card pool.
Right. Well, we don't want it to be.
Right.
We don't want it to be, right? So let's talk about really quickly his feeling of why it was not banned as opposed to just being restricted. Now, he did make the statement about not wanting new players coming into the game, opening up a booster pack, and pulling that banned card. Okay. So we already pretty much can assume that Epiphany is not being printed in Origins. Okay. So the only next release that we have at the moment is the second printing of J2 coming up, right? Which Epiphany will be in because it was in the first printing, right?
And in the rare slot.
And in the rare slot rather than the uncommon, which it was in Welcome to J-Lar.
Right.
So your feelings on this, when you open a booster pack for any TCG at that matter, and I know you play Magic, I play Magic, you play a lot of Magic, or Yu-Gi-Oh or whatnot. When you open a pack and you pull a banned card, how does it make you feel?
I mean, it doesn't faze me really.
It doesn't phase you, right? So I mean, like throughout history, a lot of TCGs have banned cards before they even hit the shelf.
yeah.
Right? They had, because they found a problem with it or whatnot.
Too
Something
late
that was missed.
yes.
It happens. It happens, right? So I mean,
the fact that this card has been out for 3 years and it, like you had said, and it's still not banned, even with how many problems we're having with it.
Yeah.
That's...
So I mean, to have that statement saying, okay, well, I don't want my new players or whatever to be having that bad experience, right? So I mean, what offsets it? A bad experience of playing the game because of that card, or just pulling it in a pack that you get 2 rares for that fact, right? You pull 2 rares, so you're gonna have another rare that's going to be playable in the game, right?
New player walks in,
Yes.
sits down on a Saturday, and I'm testing my OTK.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, hey, you're a brand new player. Okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're dead.
Yeah.
What's worse?
That's way worse.
Them
that's
investing, coming in to play a game and trying to play.
Yeah.
Or them opening a card and you as a store be like, hey, you know what? We're not playing, like, this card's banned right now because it's really too strong.
Yeah.
Right? And knowing you'd probably be like, I'm going to give you this one.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, most likely.
Most likely, right?
100%.
Oh, you open an Epiphany? Fine. I'll throw that in because, I like collecting band cards or whatever. I want to keep them for myself, right?
Yeah.
And you'd probably give them something from your binder.
Yeah.
No,
exactly.
Not everyone would do that.
Not everybody. Yeah, I most likely would. But, I mean, I don't think having that experience of pulling a band card outweighs the playing experience.
I would agree.
100%. So the other reasoning about the other issue was saying that having it restricted and for organized play. Hang on a second. Let me see where I got it written or printed out. The thought that a new player can open a booster box of J2, get their first Epiphany, put in their timelines, play in a tournament, and get disqualified immediately because of this. That's pretty harsh. Okay, I was kind of offended by this because now he's looking at it as organizers or LGSs not relaying this information to the players. So it's not like I'm going to allow a brand new player coming in to play Genesis in an organized play event without telling him that information, right? So it's we have to, right? We literally have to. It's more or less our responsibility. But so he's assuming that we're not going to do this, right? So as I said, I found that kind of a bit offensive, right? He's not having trust in the LGSs or the organizers or even the rest of the player base to let new players know. Like the game's 5 years old, right? We've been playing for quite some time. Yes, as I said, there are a lot of new players coming in, but us older veteran players of the game are going to relay this information on to newer players, right? So if a card gets banned, that's the first thing I'm going to be telling any new player, especially when I'm trying to get them into competitive play on the Geo site, create a player profile. I'm going to be throwing that in. Oh, by the way, and I already tell people, like, I know I don't tell them so much about Hydroblast because Hydroblast doesn't exist and you can't get it.
So
it's
early
only in alpha, right? So I mean, there's really no point. So when a player actually wants to invest into this game, and they're this sometimes one of the first questions they ask, are there any ban cards? Are there what restrictions are there on there when you're teaching them how to play?
We're just so used to it with other games.
Exactly, right?
Oh, there's a whole ban list or this changes or whatever, right?
Right. So I don't think any new player coming in wanting to participate is going to have that bad experience of building a timeline with nothing but epiphanies in it. Would they even know how well Epiphany works at that point? Right. On top of it, until we actually teach them or we introduce it to them. Right.
And they're definitely not coming to a championship because they would have played a lot longer than that. Right. And I mean,
well, they might.
They could.
Might. I mean, last year's championship, we did see a relatively amount.
Then there's deck checks at championships.
Exactly.
Right? And we have judges around.
Exactly.
Players who are supposed to be, sort of watching over the rules, but they're also part of the community and helping to learn and teach and that's part of their role as well. So I think that I understand your feelings towards that. Right.
It is to me. I took that to heart and thought that it was more or less.
And I wouldn't say
not
that
a good,
anything
good
is
enough
directed
reason to not ban it,
Yeah.
right? Like,
and there's nothing in here that's directed to any one person.
Exactly.
And this is again their first time making a statement like this.
Right.
So we are going through this growing pains period of we've expanded, we've developed in all these different areas, right? We're having delays, there's frustrations on all sides. Right. We should already have Origins. We could already be playing with
we
it.
should have. Well, we should have J2 reprint. Yeah, we're still waiting on J2 reprint. We still have not gotten that in the store. I get it. There's a lot of production delays and whatnot throughout, but I mean, like we were promised it back in November, right? So
and I think the thing for me on Tuesday night was that this is the beginning of the like this is the next step of the conversation. Right. I still believe it should be banned, and I'm still going to prove that it needs to be banned.
Yep.
That's
we've already working on it.
Right.
Even at a restricted level. I mean, that's basically all we can do at this point. Like, he's made the statement. It's in place now.
Yep.
So now we got to go to the next step. However, we've already. What I'm so upset about is we've already given him all that information, right? And his reasoning for not banning it, I don't think outweighs what we're presenting to him. So yeah, it becomes an issue. Branding,
sure.
Oh my God. Okay, sorry.
Oh, do I want to?
All right, yeah. Let's take some questions or comments. Try and keep it. No goofy ones. Let's go.
Okay,
yeah.
James has said, I bet more card limits are coming, like in the future.
No.
Jeff had replied, I agree, James. With more players, thanks to the Kickstarter, there's going to be some more broken stuff in the new set surfaced by all those players. Could be, yeah. Billy came in and said, I like point ban cards because they're usually worth more.
Ban cards. Yeah.
I understand where James is coming from, because once you do restrict something, you could restrict something else down the road.
Yes.
Right.
So it goes way back to that initial thing that I said. It breaks that pillar of the game, right? And the initial feeling that there is no restriction on it. So why is it only these cards can be restricted, but these ones you can still, have as many? And it's because of what the card can do. But
I still think it's broken at 4, right?
It's of course.
So I still think it's broken at 4. So I don't think this is the end of the discussion. We are testing these cards a lot. Like, I'm doing Future League testing all the time. I'm testing Epiphanies inside of Origin cards, right? And we can see how strong those are. We're getting a new we're getting a new color combination in Thymos and Axon.
Yes.
And Epiphany, if still around with Thymos cards,
oh my God, yeah,
it's going to be another thing. And I don't want to have to go through that. So I'm going to be doing my due diligence to keep presenting issues with it before we get to Origins.
Yeah, hopefully that we can transition the decision on this, right?
Mm-hmm. Jeff had said it's the DNA of the game, and limiting doesn't feel right because of that. And
That's
Billy just agreed.
Yeah, I think everybody that I've talked to about this is in disagreement of restricting it over banning it. So,
but I think back to Jeff's point, and we talked about this before the stream, is that yes, it is being reprinted.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is in the rare slot, and I believe some of the hesitation is based on that alone. That it's because,
but
what we're trying to say is, it shouldn't be that. It should be the gameplay player experience, which is what sets Genesis apart. Right? Genesis is an amazing game.
But he always says that on top of it too, right?
But
and it's like, I want the players to have the best experience and whatnot, but we've told them this does not give us the experience. So why is he not?
I give you 2 weeks of stress over Epiphany when I was building my championship deck. Do I have enough answers? Yeah. Will someone bring Epiphany? Will I get blown out by this? Right?
Yeah, especially like the ones of us that have discovered it, right? More so than newer players.
Yeah, with the card being a rare, it's more, I guess, unlikely to pull it than it would be a common or an uncommon. So it's like you're
not gonna pull as many.
But it's not the only rare. You get another one.
You get 2 rares per pack.
Well, it's not it's not just that too, but I mean, it's the fact that they, like you guys had said, they pulled Epiphany up from one level. What was it at before? Uncommon to then rare, right? You're less likely to pull it as a rare than an uncommon. right? So banning it now, it's not going to be as much of a problem as if you were to ban it when it was still an uncommon, because you're more likely to pull it.
Yeah. So I mean,
as a rare, right?
So
it won't be as much
you bite
of an
the bullet
issue.
on a reprint set at that, right? To have that player's bad experience of opening a booster, right? And pulling an Epiphany, and solve this problem, this issue, and the toxic gameplay that has occurred because of it, over having that continue, right? So sorry, I lost my
that's fine.
my wording on it.
All right.
Branding. I know, right? This one's got really heated up. I'm pretty heated up about it.
The Epiphany one, I have like one opinion on. This one,
it's not so much the branding itself, it's the pillars. Okay, so there are a lot of cards in this game, like so for summons that give branding, and damage that gives branding. However, on every single one of those cards, it states till end of round.
This round.
Yeah, whatever. So, however, what was discovered with the pillars is that it's continuous. Okay. He originally taught us when pillars came out in race that you have to be on or adjacent to the pillar in order to be branded. Whenever you move away from that awareness or off of it, you are no longer branded. That's how it was originally taught to us by him.
That's how we did it. Visually, that's how we did it.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then he made that public announcement that, hey, guess what? No, that's not it. Branding is by the pillars till end of game.
Right.
Now,
I question why he changed it. Like, what drove him to do that?
So
because of the wording of how the card.
So there's errors were made on both parts. Alex and I presented the wording of the card to us that night.
Right.
So in the moment of the realization of what we were saying versus how the wording was sounding, that was him reacting to that instance. Okay. So the response there. So my fault was presenting it and not shutting it down and being like, hey, well, let's talk about this afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But more so just right. So there was a response, and that's the way it sounds, right? So when you're reading the card, it sounds like it's burned.
Mm-hmm.
However, we do know the original intention.
Yes.
So
what happened?
What's happening, right?
Exactly.
So I can tell you that today I was testing more pillars,
right?
Building pillar decks. Alex and I went 3 or 4 rounds, different pillar decks. It's all being tested. It's all being the design team. Some of the Future League players are being requested to test this, do different things with it. We're looking at Origin cards because Origin cards have a lot of elements in them.
Yes.
There's a lot of element stuff coming out. So we need to get this right before Origins comes out because it's either going to sour or mess with it or it's going to ruin, it might ruin the experience of Origins, which we don't want.
We don't want that. No,
right?
No,
so
we don't.
It is being tested. It is being
it's I think it's ruining it now because it not only accelerates all those OTK decks and it's a prime piece to it. So like for the Wind/Slash deck, you're using Air Pillar, which accelerates your damage amount very rapidly. And it's really, I think personally, it's really affected the way timelines are being built. Right. So it's like now that pillars weren't used as often. They were still used. Like I still used them, like in the Idris deck, especially with the Fire Pillar, etc. Right, from time to time. However, having it till end of turn, you don't need as many now.
Right.
You can make the deck stronger.
End of game. Yeah.
End of game. Sorry. And it's. Yeah, I think it's
the amount of damage you occur over time is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous,
right? Especially if you can continue to push damage onto whatever is branded.
Yeah,
and especially if it's the champion, you cannot respond to turn 1 Air Pillar across the board. There's no response to that. You could, if you sidestep, I place after it resolves.
Right.
You don't get to respond to where I place it.
No,
and it happens because it's continuous.
Yeah, because you can move. In response to summoning the pillar, and you can still place the pillar right next to it, regardless of what they do. There's only one card that I can think of that would stop you from actually utilizing a pillar at this point is Jalarian Mist, because it
becomes occupied.
All the spots around you become occupied. or adjacent to you. Right?
Yes.
So, but
then,
I mean, it just delays it.
Yeah.
That's all it does. It just delays it.
I put one on, then I put one on the diagonals, and then wherever you move to, you're gonna
get it anyway. Yeah. So it doesn't solve the problem, right? It only delays it. So which makes Jalarian Mist still a worthless card because I mean, how effective is it really? But that's the only thing that I can think of, or that was brought to my attention as far as stopping that branding.
Yeah, because the wording of the pillar, the reason why Jalarian Mist works is because the wording of the pillar says it must be placed in a
unoccupied spot.
Jalarian Water is swift. It makes the spot occupied, so you couldn't place it in that
spot. But it can still be like as you said, you just place it on the adjacents on the angles, and it doesn't matter where they move. They can't move, or else they're going to get that branding right. That lasts till the end of the game.
We have a question.
Yes, what's the question?
Bennett asked, "What is everyone's opinion of the idea of branding only affecting summons and not champions?"
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like we have things that only affect summons.
That's annoying.
It would definitely target these summoner style decks more, right? Whereas fighters and mages or spellcasters might not really care if it affected them.
Yeah.
Does that shift things? Probably not.
Then that would mean a whole reconstruction of the pillars themselves, right?
Yes.
So.
And which is a good point, because if this was to be till end of game, it should be a trigger, not a continuous.
Hang on. Do they affect champions now?
Yes.
Okay.
Affects everything.
Yeah.
Right? The fact that it's continuous makes it sense that it's when I'm under it, or I have weakness when I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
Where if it was a trigger and this comes down and I step on it, I trigger that.
Yeah.
Then gain it, and then until end of game, that's very different.
Well,
I can respond to that.
No, you're right. You're 100% right on that, because that's the way we were originally taught, right? It's like if it's continuous, you have to be around it or on it, right? But as soon as you move out of that, you're no longer branded, right? Because of the continuous effect of it.
Around
However,
adjacent.
So around is all the way around, but adjacent is just the sides and the front and back.
But because you move, you can't move on diagonals.
Mm-hmm.
You almost always will at least move past it.
Yeah.
No, we said around, but just in case anyone was watching.
And so it can't be summoned on top of your champion or on top of a summon, because it has to be
in an unoccupied spot.
Yes. So, sorry, there was one other card. Actually, Sid had mentioned it earlier. Dense Fog. Right, can really slow.
If the person with Dense Fog goes first.
Yes. However, with Dense Fog, you just place it in their awareness. Yeah. So then, therefore, they would have to.
They get it anyways.
They get it anyways.
Almost every champion.
As soon as it hits the field, you've got it, right? So, I think this has really, really upset gameplay right at the moment, and accelerated it way too fast. And with the way the Epiphany OTK decks are going, right? Let's not even bring the Epiphany OTK in. Looking at the pillars alone, we're feeling, should it be originally?
Yeah, I think it should be.
It should go back to the original ruling on this.
Yeah.
So, okay. Perfect.
I mean, I do like the idea of end of round, because in my preferred gameplay is summoner based, right? So to have it end of round means that I could potentially have my summons do a lot more damage. But that's my own personal bias, because I want to be able to do more damage. Right?
Yeah.
But
the object is to win. Yes.
I can still do that. And we had a great experience where, you and I sat down with a great
that game was
three-round game match, right? And we played as intended.
Yep.
And there was times where we had to decide what we wanted to do, because there was 2 or 3 pillars on the board. And it's like, okay, well, if I move this first or whatever, then I'm going to get branded, and you've still got 2 things I can hit this. And it's like, the decision making was amazing.
It was amazing. Yeah, right? It was.
And that's where I think pillars would be
better games I've had in a long time. Yeah.
And that's I think as intended really gives that niche flavor where these are avoidable things that I'm choosing to either not or am trying to avoid.
Yeah, they're not overpowering.
Exactly.
If it's positional, I like the positional aspect of it. It gives a little bit more strategic feel to the game, right? Rather than, okay, boom, you got it. Now you're just going to take a bunch of mass damage regardless, right? So whereas now you have to move around, you have to position properly, be careful of where you're going, and it doesn't speed up the game as much either, right? So it's like, yeah, 100%. Is there a comment?
Yeah, JC popped in asking if we were fighting. I said, yes, we are, JC. I said, well, not me, I'm innocent.
Fisticuffs,
LOL.
JC.
Yeah,
JC
no.
said,
Wow.
stop fighting.
Yeah.
Stop fighting. Down with Epiphany. Down with Foresight. Down with net draw. Ben said, having the pillars do an area of effect and then end when you move away makes more sense thematically.
Thematically, yeah.
And also forces you to use position. That's the
Exactly.
one thing that I don't
That's
like
the
about the
point.
new rule of branding is the fact that once it gets played and you're around it or whatever the heck, it's like you then have it for the rest of the game, and then it's automatically no more, like it's not fun anymore for the person who's got the branding on them because then, even though it's the point of the game to target your opponent's champion and kill them, it's like it's going to be way easier
it makes it
to
100
then
times
kill
more
them.
easier.
So then it's no more fun.
Yeah.
Right. As in, with it being, if you're adjacent or on the pillar, then you have it. Once you move off or away, you don't. I like that way better because then it's like you're able to then get away, and then it's not as easy for the other person. Then it's more of a fair game.
So there was a couple of cons to it. They were saying, it's like, well, pillars can be destroyed. The argument back to that, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter though because
it's permanent.
Even if the pillar's destroyed, you're still branded, right? So it's according to the rule. Whereas before, you could destroy it from a distance,
and you would lose
and then you're not having to worry about it anymore, which made it a little bit easier to deal with.
Even if it gets destroyed, now you're still branded.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
Because of the way it is. Like once you're branded for the rest of the game. It doesn't matter, right? Yeah, you have that weakness on you for good, right? Yeah, that's the way that's the way he has stated that the ruling goes on the branding, right?
Yeah,
so.
No.
Whereas, like, okay, so the pillars are able to do this, but summons are only till end of round. I think is a little bit easier to deal with because now you know that you're safe after that round's done. You only have to avoid
and
that extra damage, and they have to actually.
So there's a response.
There's a little bit more strategy behind that as well, rather than just boop, it's placed, you're branded.
So, for me, some of the things that I think that are positives is that this is happening now and not at the 2022 championship. Okay, so that's right.
Yeah,
it's also happening now before Origins gets out, right? So. Yeah, it doesn't feel good, and it's sort of ruining people's experience, especially for the competitive players here at HOT, like our store.
Yeah,
we're very focused on competitive, right? That's why we are here. It's what we enjoy, right? It's why we did well.
6 out of 8.
It's why we did well at the championship,
exactly,
right? Because
we
were pushing each other to actually put the actual good cards.
Well, we have a lot of dedicated players here at the store, right? That have really grown with the game over the years.
And the pillars, technically, if you want to go back to Alex and I building the OTK, was that the pillars is what actually got us to the win slash, which then put us onto the OTK with the Epiphany.
Yeah.
So we had the pillars change and the Epiphany realization all clashing together.
No.
Now that Epiphany has a statement, right? I think the focus is now back onto the branding, right? So let's deal with the branding. We can still play the game with the branding. It feels weird. It feels off. I don't think that it's going to remain, right? I don't have a say in that. I hope it doesn't remain. I think I've proven that over time with Origins decks. I've proven it with current decks, right? Even without the Epiphany, like even having the win slash doing 3 damage, even if it was 3 turns for me to get over there and I can draw enough cards as Nubia, it's still an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not, then at some point in the game it will be an issue because you've permanently branded. So we were testing it this morning, Alex and I gave him all my information. I gave him my viewpoints. I mean, we gathering the data, presenting the data, giving it back, right?
It feels like he's not listening to us, though. It's like we presented about Epiphany before. Is he going to listen to us about the branding, right?
I do think there's a time crunch, right? Because Origins is on the way. It's an element-based set, right? And there's a lot of things happening with that.
And with all the new champions and color affiliations too, right? Like how is that going to affect it? It's going to be
right. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not our game. We love it. We want it to be the best. We are devoted players.
Yeah.
if let's say worst case scenario it stays permanent, right? I know we can adjust. It won't be fun.
It's not
We
gonna.
won't play the
well,
same way that we used to.
No,
but we will
it's-
adjust.
Yeah.
No. Some people won't. Some people.
Steve-O and I will adjust. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We
Well,
have
we're
done it
already
before.
trying to figure it out, right?
Right.
So that a way to get this to the way that we want to play,
Right.
But I mean, and if it doesn't get changed, like as I said, going into 2022's championship, it's coming up,
BMS.
and nothing has been done. It's going to be very dramatic, right? I think it's going to be very dramatic and upsetting to anybody new into the game going into this championship.
Yeah.
If they want to participate, it's going to be a mess, right? So, and then what are we going to see? We're going to see OTKs,
Gaze,
left, right, and
burst
center,
damage. Yeah.
and then potentially counters.
Yeah.
And I don't think those counter timelines are strong enough right now, depending on what Origins gives us to counter those OTKs. And that's it. That's all you're going to see played at the championship, right? So I know I would,
Now
right?
the Epiphany restriction,
even
and
though I
potentially-
don't want to play that way.
Yeah,
I
you would
if
feel forced.
going for that championship, wanting that trophy, that prize,
Yes.
whatever, right?
You would feel
You
forced.
gotta play. I'm gonna feel forced to play it, and I don't want to, right? So
So with my current from Tuesday night till Thursday night, my experience with the restriction down to 4
Mhm.
within these pillar decks, it is not consistent turn 1 or 2. Like it's consistent 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Now, is that enough? I don't think so, because I still think that this game ending on turn 3 or 4 is still way too fast.
too fast, yeah.
Like I'm more in the camp of like a 5 to 7 turn game.
Mhm.
Like sorry, rounds, right? Not like 3 turns and you're dead, right? Like that's not tactical.
Well, it's getting down as one.
Or sometimes even 1, right?
Right.
Like with a crazy draw, especially
Well, it was one up
It
until
was
the
one.
restriction.
the restriction.
So
is
we're gonna
brought
see how
over-
the restriction, if it expands
it
those
shifted it to
rounds
3.
Right.
From my view, it shifted it to turn
to
3.
3.
More consistently turn 3. You can still do it turn 2. Turn 1 is on just an insane draw.
Yeah.
Because even though there's only 4 epiphanies, you can still draw all 4 of them.
You
That's
could.
still a potential.
Yeah.
Now, most likely if you do, you're going to draw everything that you need.
Yeah.
But
On 4.
it is very consistent turn 3 still,
Mhm.
which is what I'm going to be pushing forward and saying, okay, well, the pillars are increasing all my damage. I can still push turn 3 kills. Do you want turn 3 kills in this game?
We don't.
That's my question. Because I can present you, 3 different decks that kill turn 3.
Mhm.
Is that what we want? And is that what they want?
Even as a competitive player, I don't want it. I don't want to see it. Right. The enjoyment of playing the game, even at in a championship
Right.
format, I want that strategy. That's what this
Yes.
game is based on. It's
It's what sets it apart.
from all other TCGs, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's like, I hate doing this so much and comparing it to Magic, but looking at the casual commander community, right? Like here at the store, and listen to them and their discussions about bringing in EDH decks or those
Yeah.
really quick kills because they don't like them and they don't want to see them played here at the store within a casual community. They want to enjoy Magic.
Right.
They want to sit and play it, right? Which is the feeling I have for Genesis. I love it. The strategy, the I
Thought
don't know.
process behind it. and
Yeah,
everything.
the thrill of achieving that battle without having to play it. And it's like, and I had mentioned this before. So when Erica first came out, I created that landslide deck, and I played against a friend of ours, and I literally stopped him from playing the game. Period. He did not have one single round, right?
Yeah.
Mind you, they didn't know, right?
No, they weren't aware.
Like there was counters to that deck, but they didn't know, right?
Yeah.
So, however, now that we've gotten to the point, we're not discovering counters to this anymore, right? They don't. We've been trying and trying.
Or the
and it's-
counter that is there doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly, right. The only other options we have. So
Okay.
it's like,
We had some comments.
okay, fine.
Sorry,
Sorry.
we're-
Go ahead.
I didn't know if you
No,
were.
I'm just to finish that up. It's like I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, I discovered it, but it's not playing Genesis. It's not. It's
Yeah,
not
when it
playing
comes
the game.
down to your last couple movements, And it's like, okay, if I back off here, they can't reach me, but my summon can get it. Oh, they killed my summon. Now what do I do? Draw my card. I got the card. Oh, they have a response, right? It's those moments where it's like we're both on low health, and it's like this is anyone's game. It's equally matched.
Well, which he did state in this, right? And it's like you start strong, and then you go down to where it's weak.
Struggle
right?
later.
Whatever,
And struggle
right?
later is actually.
It's not. You don't start off strong and boom dead, right? Like that's not the feeling of the game. It is not, right? Which is what Epiphany has done to this game. This new branding rule has done to the game.
It shifted it to start strong and finish before you get struggle.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't struggle. Just finish before you can. Yeah. Before you start to struggle. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So we got quite a few here. Okay, so after Bennett said something about having the pillars do an area of effect, he said, or you could have the pillars get a counter that decrements each turn.
Okay,
or
that would be like
say
which is what,
2 rounds and then the pillar
Quicksand
goes
does.
away.
Quicksand does that.
So the pillar would naturally go away. Yeah.
Once pillar goes away, you could drop the branding. JC
Like
said
a lower health on it. 6 rounds is not enough.
JC said, could we just have the pillars remove the weakness when you move away from them? No,
That's the positional. That's how it originally was. That's what we want.
Scheming Skeleton says, I haven't played enough lately to understand why limiting Epiphany is a huge deal versus a ban or an...
I'm sorry, read that again.
Scheming Skeleton says, I haven't played enough lately to understand why limiting Epiphany is a huge deal versus a ban or an errata.
Errata.
So my opinion,
watch the video.
My opinion to that is that it's just not enough.
It's just
Like, 4 Epiphanies is still able to pull off something ridiculous.
Yeah.
JC goes, think it is more of a either we have it or don't.
Yep.
And says the games are better when they last longer. More rounds means more potential things on the board, and it's much more interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is all the points that we had just covered. Yeah.
In general, let's see. I haven't read like any of these. What was the reason for the limit? OTK in general. If you stack your deck with Epiphanies, you can just draw into your OTK very, very, very reliably.
Yep.
Yeah.
And consistency in that, especially in the future.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That seems like an issue.
Oh, they're just responding. They're responding to his.
Yeah. Why was this just now caught?
So scheming, it wasn't caught now. We've been
We've been working on this for at least
time.
a couple of years. We've been trying to push to get Epiphany banned.
I think he means or I'm even questioning this too. Why is it just now that something's being done about it? Is it like...
So there were OTKs and there were Epiphany decks that just couldn't perform to some pre-understanding of what a powerful deck is. Right. But then now we presented a deck that's very consistent because all the damage is on the low end and all your draw is on the high end. So what that does is all your draws you into all your damage. Whereas before it was all on the high end. So your draw was drawing you higher cards, which meant that you had to have enough
bunch
balance.
Of lower cards that didn't do any
We were
damage
50-50 on a low versus a high card draw.
Yeah.
Not sure how to pronounce the name. I think it might be Meyer.
Meyer Brown, yeah.
Now that branding is permanent and non-positional, that plus Epiphany stacking makes it a coin flipping game.
Yeah, and that's one thing I had pointed out.
Because of the change to branding.
Yeah, so it's like we don't want this game where you sit down to play a competitive game and it's based on the die roll.
Yeah.
So whoever rolls the die first wins the round. You might as well because it bounces back and forth, right? So it's like we don't want a game like that.
Basically, there are decks that search for Fire Pillar, brand their opponent, teleport over to them, and then kill them up in one turn. That's what you had said earlier.
Air Pillar,
yeah. With the game growing, Epiphany hurts.
Or the one that's discovered with the meteorites, and the Earth Pillar, and the Fire Pillar on Idris.
That would hurt.
But it doesn't involve Epiphany for that timeline because she doesn't have access to it. But it's just based on the pillars.
Just based on the pillars.
Just based on the pillars.
Turn 1, Idris Fire
and
Pillar.
Unhinged, right?
So you're paying 10 aura to play the pillar beside them. And then each of your fireballs, which are already past the best rate of damage per aura, is now increased by 3.
Yeah.
So the 10 ore that you're paying in for
Increase
the pillar,
2-3. No,
increase 2-3.
2-3. Yeah.
So the 10 ore you're paying already pays for itself over 2 rounds, like basically.
Yeah.
Because you're doing an extra basically every 2 fireballs is an extra fireball.
Yeah.
So over 2 rounds, like it's compounded. It's just
Yeah. It's
right.
yeah,
Like
that's
and Alex and I were playing that this morning, and I was like I have to rush at you.
Yeah.
And as soon as I rush at you, he drops 2 brooks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like
that
I have to come at you to kill you.
They're now hitting for
and now
5 fire
these things are
damage
hitting me for
instead
5, and
yeah.
I'm already at 10.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Or
what am I supposed to do?
I don't think has.
I sit back and turtle, and I just take fireballs.
Yeah.
It's the fire pill is broken.
It is. Yeah. Fire pillar, earth pillar with meteorite. So which is
because you can drop it from across.
Yeah.
10 the lower tier. Yeah.
Well,
Do 3 damage.
they all do earth damage.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what tier you're
Because
using.
you don't care if you break it.
Right.
If you kill your own earth.
So now your
yeah.
opponent's taking 1 more earth damage than what you do
Right.
on the higher tier, but on the middle tier, right?
Yeah,
So
you'd already run a meteorite deck
Yeah,
without
right.
those.
Yeah, but I mean, meteorite was pretty busted beforehand anyway. I mean, there
very
are ways to
powerful,
prevent
though.
it. Yeah, but it's the aura, right? So it's pretty high on the aura, which slows it down slightly. But yeah, it's crazy. Which is why I mean, both together, insane. Each on their own, like still
And
crazy.
yeah, and when-
Still crazy.
And the decks that have the Epiphany will always then push out that damage faster at a more
For
consistent rate. And so it's
Like
they're
why isn't he?
working in
See,
tandem.
yeah, it's got to be. He's got to have some kind of realization.
I think we should invite him down and just throw some decks.
Throw
at
him in the hot seat instead of you. Instead of
Yeah,
you.
why am I sitting here?
Uh,
No, let's throw. We can throw a bunch of decks at him and see what and actually see the gameplay and see the responses too.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
But-
we did.
but they're-
Sid and I, we broke the
Yeah,
two
you did that
champions and a
on-
stack of
yeah.
cards, right? So I had built the one, and I made slight adjustments to it, and he presented his
Yeah,
OTK utilizing the branding alone,
Yeah.
right? So, and I was using the Epiphany / pillars,
And that's how we get these things done.
And
right?
yeah, it was
showing it off. Yeah.
like the games were so fast, boom, boom, boom. It's like I had him killed 1 turn, boom, like that. No, there was no enjoyment of playing,
Mhm.
nothing. So, anything else?
No, that's about it.
That's about it.
Those are really the only opinions I have about the 2 cards. Is that Epiphany, it should be banned for now, and whether in future sets, say they find cards that can make it less worse, bring it back, but temporarily ban it. And then for the pillars, bring it back to the original thing. Like it's no fun anymore now that it's permanent.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, I don't think there is anything out there potentially that would make Epiphany come back.
No, but hypothetically,
Oh, yeah.
say there was, right? That's what I'm saying. Is for now ban it,
Yeah.
and then if say something
There's a
came out-
It
reason-
would need to be
Bring it
erratic.
back.
It would have to be errated. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
100%. There's a reason Pot of Greed has been banned for life from Yu-Gi-Oh, right? And that's only 2 cards, right? So I mean,
This is
there's
3.
a reason.
Oh, Ancestral Recall was banned pretty fast too.
Yeah.
That's it.
3 cards.
3 cards in Magic, yeah. Got banned really fast. Yeah, it's just that much draw power. It just doesn't belong in a TCG, right? I don't think personally. But
When you're and my mindset is if you're pushing for a competitive play space, then right, that type of deck becomes those that have and those that don't.
Mhm.
And those that have just start winning more, which means that those that don't stop playing.
Right.
And then you just sort of over time you just sort of become I don't even know what that is. Just like let's roll a dice and see who wins.
Yeah. Another thing that I had pointed out too, and it's like looking at these OTKs, what are they missing in the deck? Summons, right? And there's a lot of stuff that is not required for these decks to be played.
Right.
What's the point in printing them, right? If they're never going to be used, right? So it's basically now you're looking at people cracking boxes of Genesis, just looking for those OTK cards. The rest of it, it's gone.
And there's a lot of great summons.
And there
as
are.
someone who loves playing summons,
There are.
decks, right?
What's that?
Okay, so Ben said, I'm actually surprised no one has broke Nubia yet with the card draw. It's an advantage. I think the deck itself and what you put with the champion is what makes it broken. I don't think it's the champion itself.
It's not the champion. However, yes, Nubia does accelerate that OTK because she does have that additional draw, but it's also her aura that can support the
Yeah.
OTK. So, but I had said that at the beginning of the show too, and it's like now we're looking at limiting the amount of champions that are actually going to be used in the game, and they're all more or less going to be one for the Axon affiliation because of the power of Epiphany, right? So, and basically anything that has Axon. So, we haven't seen too much of the Axon Chaos OTK.
No,
because the champions don't have the aura, right? More or less to support that style. So now you're eliminating all those. Bellum, Thymos.
No, there's no card draw.
There's no card draw. So, and however, Sid discovered, the Unhinged, right? Allows you to cycle through your deck a little bit. So for the Thymos Chaos decks, there is potential, right? Outside of that, what do you have left? Axon Bellum. That's it. So, and it's primarily played on Nubia.
And just in case Ben missed it, the OTK that we are talking about is the Nubia Wind Slash Air Pillar Epiphany deck.
But the thing about Nubia is like
teleportation,
and all these,
and that's all you need.
The thing about all these champions that people are using for OTKs is they can be used outside of an OTK. It's the actual deck itself that is built with the champion that is the problem. Yes, the champions have certain things to them, right? Like Nubia has the extra card draw, but she also can only do 1 damage, which I think levels out that extra card draw.
You don't even need it. You don't even need it.
Well,
the one, no, you don't need that one attack.
If Nubia draws 7 cards and one of those 7 is an Epiphany, that's basically 4 extra cards. Right, which is pretty crazy.
It is crazy.
And the consistency before the restriction that she could actually have 1 to 2 Epiphanies in her opening hand was insane.
It is
if
crazy,
you're playing
but
like 10 to 12 Epiphanies, it's not a problem getting one.
At 4, it still shows up.
A fifth of your deck is actually Epiphany. And the rest is all lower chi damage. With a pillar.
Well, that's what I'm saying is now that I've brought this up, it's like every single thing that we're mentioning is about the deck itself, not the champion. Right. And what's
all the
put
cards
in
the deck are fine. I mean, I still have my own issues with teleportation, like moving, placing already, like teleport and Stone Protector. That's 2023's issue. That's for Will, right? He's gonna tackle those ones later. But
I know you've had issues with teleportation,
but the Epiphany is always what it comes back to, right? Just like the pillar, or the Brook is fine. A couple Brooks are fine, right? But the teleport with the Brook could be really bad. Rain of Arrows is fine, right? But the teleport plus Rain of Arrows could be really bad. Or Epiphany plus Rain of Arrows could be really bad. Epiphany plus, right? All these things, right? It always goes back to
the new combinations.
The three cards, right? And how fast you play your deck.
It just makes the game way too toxic
and fast.
So it's the deck being built itself. It's not the champions.
Right.
That's basically what I'm stating is
Epiphany has a decision. It's not the final. Like it's a decision for now. That's the way I'm taking this. And then branding, I'm sure we'll see. I mean, I don't know when we'll see a branding decision being made, and I think it's not going to be available on next Tuesday night, but I would be putting out the question to him, being like, can we get now that we have this Epiphany, can we get a branding ruling decision?
A decision on it,
Because
I mean, it's nothing for a game designer. And no offense to him, I love a Sid like a brother. Like, I mean, the guy's an amazing guy, but it's just some of the decisions that he has made, right? Like these. I don't know if he has the full focus or awareness, right, of how it's affecting the game itself, right, and the other players, right? So wondering where he's getting his data from or what's, making him make these decisions, and the reasons that he's stated, right, are to me, I don't know, seems like almost like off. It seems really off, right? Like, and I don't think they're legit. I don't think they're solid enough to fight what we've been fighting for and the information that we've been giving him and the proof and whatnot. So, I mean, it's hoping that maybe he can, step back, take into consideration what we're saying to him, right? Put those other things aside, right? Like, I mean, is it really that bad for a company to print a banned card in a set, right? Like, I mean, it happens. Like, people are not going to attack him for doing it. Right?
I don't think so.
They should, right? Like, I mean, we understand, right? The community understands, and a new player coming in will understand when we explain it to them, right? let us as LGSs, right, get that information across to people, have confidence in us, right, and teaching our community and letting them learn, right, how the game actually operates, right, rather than using that as an excuse to not, make the game better, right?
Right. So, and this decision was made, and we've shared our opinions, and we're going to we still feel it needs to go further.
Yeah, it does need to go further.
So we're going to start doing that, right? And I think the same thing is happening with branding. Make what your decision, and then we'll either if we think that it's fine, then everyone's happy.
Yeah.
Or if we think that it's not, then we'll push it to the next, right?
Yeah.
Like, as far as from what I can see, he's still very open, and HCG is very open to their player base. It's just that there's a lot of things happening.
Yeah.
All at once, and I'm not making any excuses, but I would rather a decision be made, and then for me to tackle that decision versus no decision being made at all.
Right. Well, yeah, not making a decision about Epiphany
or waiting for some arbitrary date to make a decision. Like I'd rather just make the decision.
Make the decision, yeah. Whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah, we'll tackle that next time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then having to change your mind about a decision. There's not everybody changes their mind or whatever, right? And saying, okay, yeah, like I do it all the time, and it's one thing I've been married for 15 years. It's like I'm wrong. Right, I can admit when I'm wrong, right? About making a decision. So it's like,
and it's like it's not like these decisions are going to be permanent for the rest of the time Genesis is alive, right? They could.
I would rather see the game progress forward in a positive manner, right, and have positive reinforcement rather than it going down a negative road.
Right, and we need.
Which I'm kind of starting to predict a little bit, and I'm getting a feeling for that based on these decisions, right? So it's like.
But at the end of the day, we still need a decision, right?
We still need a decision, yes.
And I would hate for us to be sort of in limbo waiting for a decision.
Yeah, I mean, well, after
it's
been 2 years. Yeah, it's been 2 years for a decision on Epiphany. May not be 100% happy with this decision. I think I'm more 100% unhappy about this.
And that's fair.
And it is fair. It is fair, but I mean.
We go forward.
We go forward and try to prove it. That it needs to go further than just being restricted to 4. Hopefully, communities out there help us out, right? I mean, if you're in agreement to what we're saying about these new policies or what is the word I'm looking for? Rules, announcements, or whatever you want to call them, right? About the gameplay for Epiphany and branding. Test it. That's what I say. Test it, right? So that's one thing. I recently stated. It's like I don't pay as much attention to the Future League anymore. There's something wrong. I know all these cards get presented on the Future League, and it's like I read them over, and it's like I start thinking of decks, and I start playing it out. I do a lot of play testing solo by myself, right? So I have a lot more focus on the cards and what they do. However, when I see cards get posted up, and all these people right away, what do? They just attack it, right? Oh, well, it should be that. And it creates all these huge arguments, right? Where's the testing? Like, I know you're really deeply involved with the Future League and whatnot. Are they actually testing it? Outside of yourself? I know there's you and Alex and that. Yeah. You guys actually you have to. But, I mean.
Is it being monitored? I don't think so. There's sort of like a cell. Like, they're depending on people actually doing the surveys and presenting that they're testing the decks, right?
Are they though? That's the question. Where's your proof, right?
I know Shahan and Eric are doing like a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
They do some testing. So if you're ever free Wednesday nights, you can go test with them and see what they're up to.
Is it physical or on TTS?
On TTS.
Yeah.
And I know I'm always, when I'm online, I'm always down for either Future League testing or whatever. So people can hit me up on Discord too and let me know. I can say that outside of the 5-chi 3/3s and the 4-chis 4/4 or 2/2s, like all the vanilla base concepts, I've tested every card.
Okay, which is good, right? And that's what it needs. But I'm talking about the rest of the Future League, right? So
but we need more of that.
We need more of it, right? So
because I can miss things, right? And people who can naturally miss things, and we have our own sort of. There's things that I like to do, right? I see cards. Oh, I want to use this card.
Yeah.
And Genesis is fun, but there is it's good to have other perspectives.
You need a lot more.
right?
You need more perspective.
We need
I
the
mean,
control players.
but
the
is there a
ag
point
players.
where there's too much perspective, right? So it's like
It's
now
watered
you
down.
have all these hands that are in there, right? You got opinions coming from everywhere. It's causing all these arguments. There's no testing being done about the card.
Yeah.
It's all just basically
Surface level.
Yeah, exactly, right. So and it's like wanting to see more of the actual testing itself, playing it. Wouldn't it be more viable to close the group for your future league, right? So now you only have a set amount of actual future leaguers that are dedicated to actually. Sorry, I'm spitting on myself.
As long as it's on your side.
Yeah, it's see, I'm getting overexcited all the time. No, that are more dedicated to actually play testing the card. So, and with a structured format of a future league, so you have like your head designer such as Alex, and then probably yourself, right? Because I mean, with as much dedication as you have, but then you have a level of people that work under you as far as the testing, right? And you're involved with them. You're getting the feedback, but you're also monitoring that they're actually testing the cards. So,
Interesting. Yeah.
I think it would be a little more effective, right, than rather just having people this card
Right.
and arguing and whatnot without any testing going through on it, right? So, and I think there's too much potential for error on cards that way than there are in a smaller, controlled atmosphere.
Yeah. So sort of like based on what you're saying, sort of like present maybe 2 cards. End of the week, you have to present your experience playing with it and what you think after.
Yes, or like you have weekly settings,
Yeah.
where you guys are all getting together and you're actually physically, well, may not physically, but or actually on TTS, whatever
Yeah.
platform, you see it being
being
played,
played.
you see it. So a lot of times, a lot of things that I've learned in Genesis is not from just actually playing it, but by watching it being played. So you're accumulating that data from watching the game on how it's played out, how that card's being used, right? Now, mind you, not everybody's going to use the same card, right? So and then you have a time frame kind of thing. Right? So we're testing these cards, right? I want to see it played in different ways, different styles, right? So you're having, but it's not a mass amount of people that you're going to have a lot of negative reactions coming in left, right, and center about it, and it's not getting tested the way it should be. So one thing that I had thought of, right? So because I remember back when we first started the Future League at my old store, right? And I think that's probably I'm gonna put my foot in my mouth for this one, right? Is how we missed Epiphany. Right, because and I think I've mentioned this on the show before about we were more focused on Stone Protector, with the use of Angels and Draco's Cap, which we ended up busting it, and that's all anybody was playing. Nobody was really focusing on any of the other cards that were presented to us, and a lot of stuff got missed. A lot of stuff got missed before it went to production, right? And then that's how Epiphany came into play. I think personally myself. What's up?
Good feedback.
Future league testers need to be limited. I agree.
Yeah.
By Hassan, that's his brother. He thinks
Nice.
future league should be limited. Yeah, I agree with it. I think a smaller controlled group rather than having it just open to anybody, right? So, like, I understand he wants people to get involved with the game.
Yeah,
you can get involved with the game just by playing, right? and enjoying the game itself.
But to have
to be a
that
part
many
of
people, it's like it's just have that many people. It's like so many people then have early access to this. I don't think it should be that way, because then it's just like it gets up to way too many people, and then it's just, I don't know. I'm trying to word this in a way where I'm saying there's too many people, because then there's too many spoilers to too many people. So there should only be a few people in the group, but then there's not as many spoilers.
What do you mean by spoilers?
I don't know, because when you're
cards being
revealed,
talking.
Yeah.
But not all the cards that are tested in the Future League are going to be in the.
Yeah, they
next
have
set,
changed that, right? So you were playing with concepts, you're not playing with actual cards. So the names are, what the art is. Like there's a bunch of stuff that you don't know. Like I'm still excited to open Origins because I don't know what the actual. Like I'll have to be like, okay, this card says this, and then okay, that was this card
back in what it was in the.
Yeah.
It might even be a different color, right? Like all these things change.
Yeah, but it's not only that. It's just like there doesn't need to be that many people testing today.
Right.
I think a small group would be fine.
Bigger isn't
And
always
you don't have
better.
to be in.
Bigger
Yes,
isn't always better,
yes.
right? Isn't always better.
Food for thought.
Food for thought. Think about it. So I mean, that's pulling a few people aside, people that you know that are
Yeah.
really, really involved with the testing process of Genesis and whatnot on the Future League, presenting this to them, saying, "Hey, let's start a new smaller group kind of thing, or whatever," right? And then kind of just
push this to the next level.
push it to. I think you guys would get more response to the game design, right? And these people being more focused and less
Open more channels. More
Yeah.
communication.
more communication
Okay.
with lesser people. But that's just my personal opinion.
Mhm.
Something that I had lulled over for quite some time, right? And, since the Future League has been running. So myself personally, I dropped out of the Future League initially because I
Right.
felt it gave me too much of an advantage at the championship.
That's what I was trying to say. Too many
Yeah.
people have early access to stuff. and
Yeah.
then it's
So,
just like,
but the original, we were testing the actual cards. Like,
Yes.
Like there was no variation to it afterwards. Like once it went through, that's what we
What it
got,
was,
right?
yeah.
So all of Welcome to Jay, I knew how those cards operated like the back of my hand.
That joke's never been done before.
Come on. Gotta
This is
get-
your show. What am I saying?
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah. You and your side comments. I guess. Still can't beat me at Genesis. Once in a while.
Gonna have a game plan.
Actually, I was trying to think
Sorry,
that last. I won that.
No,
No, you did win it. You win 2 to 3. Yeah,
amazing
2
way
out
you
of 3.
forget. Selective
Selective memory.
Yeah.
Selective memory. Those were the days. Yeah.
Thank
Anyways,
you.
but no.
This was
No,
a good
no,
conversation. I think.
I think it was really good and productive. I was able to maintain my cool on this one. Yeah, because I was pretty heated up. I lost my mind on Tuesday night. Like seriously, you guys got into talking about the pitch contest. I bailed right out. I'm like, I'm done. I can't even watch this anymore. I was so upset. And yeah,
Came home
livid.
and just went
Passion,
on a
lots
little
of
bit of a
passion.
vent.
yeah, I was yelling. Lucky there was nobody here. Well, there was a small Yu-Gi-Oh tournament, but they had all left early, and I was just like, I tried calling JC. He didn't answer his phone. I'm on the phone with my mom, right? 10 o'clock at night, and then she's like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "I need to vent." And she's like, "Okay, let it out." And I just, oh my god, it was so bad. But I managed to calm myself down, and I talking with a few people.
I'm just a centering person.
I know you keep your cool so well, right? And it's
Yeah,
like,
he gave me the anger.
no wonder
gene,
why
like,
Sid thinks I'm so scary all the time.
I just
It's
brought him
because
down.
I just I snap like this, right? It's just it does get bad. No, I mean, keeping it professional on top
Yeah,
of it.
good.
I mean, so yeah, sorry, Sid. I love you, buddy. I honestly do. However, I think we
You have opinions. Yeah.
need a change, right? Obviously. So, but anyway, we're gonna wrap this up. We've been going for like an hour and a half now. I think. Yeah, it's been a good one.
Maybe
Or
I'm not sure.
announcements? You got any
It's
announcements?
9 o'clock. My wife's probably in bed now, but if she's watching, hi.
Yeah,
Oh,
my-
Cam might be
my-
watching. Cam, there was a part in the stream you watched them after, so you'll see it later. When I took your coffee, I took a sip of it and it was cold, and I made this weird face. And Cam actually messaged me. He's like, "What's wrong with Dad's coffee?" I'm like, it was cold.
It was cold. It was
And then
very
I
cold.
still took another sip afterwards because of coffee.
Yeah. Any announcements for upcoming for Genesis that you know about?
Nothing. I mean, yeah, I'm not sure what's happening next Tuesday nights exploring the libraries. It's going to be Alex and I. I'm sure things will happen. It might be chaotic. Maybe just calling up people, getting them on stream. I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen, but
No, what's gonna happen?
we'll probably be. I think we're actually going to do some gameplay and get some trying to do
That'd be
some
nice.
stuff.
Yeah.
So, check
One
out
thing
that.
we've been trying to transition to is find ways. Actually, this Saturday for our organized play tournament, we're gonna be live streaming.
Nice.
So we got some people to help us out with that. So
Cool.
be sure to tune in to our channel on Saturday. You'll be able to see some gameplay. So we'll change it
And then for me, I think next Tuesday morning, if anyone's around in the mornings, I'm going to be
on TTS.
trying to do some. Yeah, I'm gonna have. I'm gonna see what happens on Twitch and see what
Oh, you're going on
Genesis.
Twitch,
Yeah,
nice.
see what Genesis does on Twitch.
Nice.
using different things to sort of showcase the game.
Perfect.
Talking to people, bringing people on, gameplay. So
I have a bad announcement to make. I feel really bad, but I talked to Sid today. We're probably not going to be doing as many of the 2 champions and stacker cards. So our Sunday slot for that recently has caused a lot of issues, stuff coming up, plans, whatnot. And I know it's the only day that he's able to do it. However, because of the store, my family, etc., there's a lot of
you need your Sunday, right?
Yeah. So I mean, it's so we're discussing potentially maybe pre-recording these sessions and then throwing them up online rather than live streaming them Sunday afternoon.
Hey, that works too.
But I mean, it's and if Sid's not available,
me,
maybe you
backup?
as a backup, you and I can battle it out, right?
Sure.
Even though you're not an
What?
official
Oh my God.
turn of it. You only want a sealed. What's the seal?
What is the seal?
What is the seal?
It's an unprepared deck that I built in 5 minutes.
I don't even know how you managed to get
Okay, that's not
into
what we're
that.
Oh yeah, we're not even
Yeah,
gonna.
that was
We don't have
so-
enough.
Don't get him riled up
You
again.
can get me all riled up. We only have an hour. We've been on an hour and a half. So anyway,
Yeah, Dagger
check out www.genesisbattleofchampions.com. All the information's on there. You got the lore, rules, tons of information. You want to get involved with Genesis, game that we love so much. There's the Geo site as well. If you want to get into organized play, get yourself a player profile. You can participate at any organized event that any LGS is running. LGSs, if your LGS doesn't run Genesis, get them involved. This game is absolutely amazing. It's so good. Outside of what we discussed tonight, like
The gameplay is so good. That's why we're
right.
passionate about it.
Which is why we want to present these arguments and try to get it back to the way that we love it so much, right? So, and remember, this is just our opinion, one side of the coin, which is what the show's all about for Genesis. And so
big announcements apparently next week because they're at Gamma.
yes, Haunted Castle is going to Gamma next week. What day is that?
I think it's Monday through Friday. I think
It's the whole week event, right? So yeah, apparently they're going to be making some huge announcements. We were joking around. We hope it's just not the release date for second printing of J2.
Hopefully,
That's not it. Only it's something
We'll see.
more. Yeah,
maybe that is one of.
Hopefully, yeah. We're hoping for some really something.
Jason wants to know where that is.
Gamma.
Gamma. It's down in Reno,
Reno.
Nevada. It's right next door to like Las Vegas kind of thing. So, yeah, this Gamma. I actually sit on Gamma committee as well. We just so basically it's all game designers and manufacturers or whatever. They get to present all their new stuff coming up in the next year.
Dragon Shield will probably be there.
Yeah, Arcane Tinman is the
Arcane
company.
Tinman.
Yeah, so it's all the manufacturers get together. It's like this big giant expo. However, all the retailers are allowed to come and visit and see, right? So, or investors or whatever. Yeah, it's like a big, huge gaming convention. It's probably like by far one of the biggest ones, right? So, but it's only exclusive to the manufacturers and the retailers. So, as far as I know, anyway.
Big announcements.
Yeah.
Let's go.
We want to hear some good stuff. So yeah, we're definitely excited about that next week. Every Thursday night here we do our live show. Be sure to like and subscribe our channel. Hopefully we didn't disappoint anybody or upset anybody tonight. I apologize.
Or keep the conversation going.
Or keep the conversation
Talk
going.
to us
yes.
on Discord, whatever.
Yeah, you reach out to us. I'm Steveo on Discord. You are
Will K.
Will K. Just Will K. Yeah. So what?
That's who I am.
Exactly. I'm Will K. Well, there's so many like crazy names on Discord, right? So it's like never know.
Just keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah. So yeah, reach out to us on Discord. Any questions or whatever. You're looking for Genesis singles, or I would say sealed product, but I don't have any left. You can reach out to me as well. We have oodles and oodles of it. So I put up spreadsheets.
Yes.
I don't know if you've seen them on there.
Good.
So as well for our numbers and whatnot, get them upgraded on a daily basis.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's all I got for this evening. So on behalf of Mack-Attack, I'm Steveo the Gamer, and
Will,
thank you very much for joining us on our show. Appreciate your conversation with us tonight, and we will see you next time on One Side of the Coin. Bye.
Now it's the awkward moment where they gotta watch us end this. Because bye.
Say bye again.